On the other hand, you can also export it directly, where the product rule is already generated, so you can generate a wrap out of it. So either ways you can do it. Export will always give you a wrap. Again, the same thing what we did now will happen again. Something like this. And again, that wizard would run and it would give me a wrap. Okay. And we have another option called migrate. Right? What migrate does is, at the same time, you will be able to move your application across multiple environments. Okay, so let me show you. Export is just the same thing, so I'm not going to download it again. Just close it. Okay. So migrate is where you can move your product file or your wrap into different environments at the same time. Okay, alright, so here is the product. You can choose the version. Okay, so this is the one that is selected, the one that is generated, my product file. Yes, so this product file, you can move it into multiple destination environments. So you need to give the URL. Okay, so along with the URL, you need to give the username and password, and the system will take care of importing your product rule into the destination environment. Okay, so this is more useful when you have multiple environments and you would like to move your application into all of them together. But ideally, in most of the scenarios, this is not much useful because you don't migrate the same application into multiple environments together. You don't do it. First, you would do it into test. Then, if everything is good with test, then you would move it to pre-prod, and then at each stage there are some checklists that we follow. So most of the real world scenarios, we wouldn't get to use this migration wizard. Okay, right. But yes, there is a feasibility that I can use this. Okay. Now, once my export is done, once I got my wrap file, half of the job is done. Okay, where you bundled your application, put it in a wrap file, and you are able to export it as a zip file. So first half of the task is done. So the next half is importing it back into the new environment. Correct? So you exported it from the source environment. You have to put it into the target environment. So what you do is, ideally it has to be in another environment, but as we are doing it on local host, I'll show you. You can go into your application, distribution, and this time choose import. Okay, so here you have to choose that particular wrap that you have on your system. Okay, so is it from a local file? Yes. Here is my zip file. So let me use it. Okay, it says it is already existing because we are on the same environment. Ideally, you would never do this. Exporting and importing on the same environment is not practical. Right? It has to be on two different environments. But as we are doing it on a local host, we just have one. So let me just proceed. Alright, so here you see admin @HR, all the file information label is backup of HRS, which is This is the description that I've given. Okay, then the date, the version, and how many rule count. The instance count is 1352. Okay, let us proceed further.
So if we click on this checkbox, enable advanced mode, so it will provide us all the rule sets and everything which are there, right?
Correct, exactly, right. It's more like you can choose from what you would like to import. So you can selectively do the importing.
And the second one, do not
Do not
set restore
restore
point.
point or save metadata using the import. Frankly speaking, I haven't used this earlier any time. Do not set restore
Okay.
point or save metadata
Yeah,
using
even I
the
have not seen because I have just while doing the deployment, I always stick the enable advanced mode only.
Mhm.
So
Right. Okay, let us see if maybe the wizard. I think there's a help, right? We'll see that once.
yes.
This is like all those instances that were part of the product rule. Now will be moved across.
So Sneha, while this is doing, I have one question.
Mm, yes.
Now, if, for example, I have my deployment is done, I've imported it
Mm,
into the target environment.
mm,
Now, in the same section, like say, suppose one rule was there, one section which I sent. Now, in the same section,
okay.
I want to make some changes, and
Okay.
I did some changes, and I want to deploy it onto the target environment. So will I have to
Okay.
create the product file again, or I can use the same product file and import it over there, and the other rules will get skipped, or will they override? Will they get overridden?
Uh, in your initial, in the first product rule that you created, the section's older version would be available. I mean, the one that you had before making the changes, that will be available. Correct?
Yes,
Right? And now again, now you make changes, the product rule is going to be different.
but say suppose if I'm doing it in the same rule set, like I forgot that
Okay.
there was some change, and in 15-20 minutes later I realized that okay, this one is. So I'll not create a new version. I'll try to unlock it and use the same, right? Or will I
Mm,
create a new
so
rule set for that for
if
one
that
rule?
is a case, when what we suggest is, uh, rather than packaging everything again, just that one section rule that you have modified, no, for that you can create a product rule and you can deploy it. So
Okay,
for
so
that one rule
that will be a
alone.
manual creation of product rule.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
So because if you do it the same way again, most of the rules will be, the same thing. It will be skipped anyways, right? So
Yeah.
all those,
Got it.
for example, 1,000 rules are there. All those 1,000 will be skipped anyways. So instead of that, just create a new product rule with that one particular rule that you modified, and then you can deploy it.
Okay.
Like this. Right? So this is through the wizard that happens. And directly, if you'd like to create rule, it's part of your rule dash admin dash product, and it'll be part of the system admin class. Sorry, system admin category. So here is your product. So if you're talking about explicit creation, we will be doing it from here. So this shows instances of all the product rules that are available. And once we create, or so this wizard is still in progress, right? Okay, seems like that's done. But yeah, when we are trying to create a product rule manually, once you click on create, you get to see the same thing. I mean, what we have seen earlier on the product rule, the same thing would be available, but with all with no details. Like all fields are going to be empty, so that we can add the instances that are important. Like you said, maybe one section instance could be just added. All the application related fields and all of those are going to be empty. So either through the wizard or through the explicit creation, we will be able to create the product rules, generate wraps out of it, then we'll be able to import it back into the new destination environment. Right? So with that, both export and import together. Yeah.
Yes, so, sorry.
Yeah,
So
good.
while we create the product manually, so we have something for maximum and minimum version where we provide it. So is it the
Correct.
rule set number that we provide in the maximum and minimum version?
Correct. If you need only few, probably this might come in handy when you are skimming, right? Probably you might only need rules from a specific range of versions. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can mention the maximum and minimum. If you don't mention anything, system by default considers all the available versions of that rule set.
Okay, so we don't need to mention it explicitly if we are creating a
If you are
product
willing to
manually
move,
for one section.
sorry, if you are manually for
If we are
one
creating the product
rule.
manually for one rule set,
Mhm.
then we don't
Mm.
explicitly need to mention the minimum and maximum version. The system will automatically take the rule
Correct,
set version
correct.
which in
Yeah.
which we are putting
By
it.
default, all of it, yes, would be considered.
And if we are creating the product for two rule sets, then
Product for two rule sets.
yeah,
Mm. I mean,
say
if
I
all
have.
versions of the two rule sets are involved, is it like, are we looking at all the versions for the two rule sets?
Of the two rule sets, all the versions. Yes.
Okay, so if that is the case, uh, yes, then we can mention both the rule sets, but without any versions. I don't need to define a maximum and a minimum version then. I can mention just both the rule sets. Suppose like HRS and HRS int.
Mm-hmm.
So I can add both on the product rule. But no maximum and minimum version need to be given.
Okay. Yes.
So once this load, I'll show you. Because the import wizard is in progress. Seems like it has become slow.